Hi, my name is Alexander. In this video, we will create Angular front-end web application that uses SignalR library for real-time communication between servers and web application. Real-time web functionality is the ability to have server code push content to connected clients instantly as it becomes available, rather than having the server wait for a client to request new data. We will create an online ordering application. On the server side, we will create .NetCore API with SignalR and Angular web application on the client side. SignalR uses hubs to communicate between clients and servers. Hub is a high-level pipeline that allows client and server to call methods on each other. SignalR handles the dispatching across machine boundaries automatically, allowing clients to call methods on the server and vice versa. Hub calls client-side code by sending messages that contain the name and parameter of the client-side method. Client's caller is a property used to send a notification specifically to the client who initiated the current Hub method call, essentially only notifying the caller and no other connected clients. Clients group sends a notification to all clients that are currently part of a specific group, effectively broadcasting the notification to everyone within the group simultaneously. Clients call public methods on hubs via the invoke method on the hub connection. The invoke method accepts the name of the hub method. It is my server func in the diagram. Any arguments defined in the hub method. SignalR takes advantage of several transports, such as WebSockets, server-sent events, long pooling. SignalR automatically selects the best available transport based on the client's and server's capabilities. SignalR will use WebSockets under the covers when it is available, and gracefully fall back to other techniques and technologies when it isn't, while the application code remains the same. We have to create SignalR hub on the server side and configure SignalR endpoints so that clients can connect to our SignalR hub. The hub class includes a client's property that contains these properties and methods for communication between server and client. For demonstration purposes, in this video we will use property caller calls a method on the client that invoked the hub method, and method group calls a method on all connections in the specified group. Groups in SignalR provide a method for broadcasting messages to specified subsets of connected clients. A group can have any number of clients, and the client can be a member of any number of groups. You don't have to explicitly create groups. In effect, a group is automatically created the first time you specify its name in a call to groups.add, and it is deleted from you remove the last connection from membership in it. Before we start, let's show what we want to achieve. Start server-side and client-side applications. To start ordering, we have to create order or append items to already existed orders. Let's create a new order. Select items and their quantities. Send order. GitHub on the server side inserts the items in the tables orders and laptop orders and calls the client-side Angular method to display the order with the selected items. Check SQL Server. Both tables contain the records. We use Google Chrome browser for our client application. To simulate the requests from another user, let's open our client application in a different browser or even in a different browser type, for example in Firefox. Create another orders. User can create their own order or append items to existing order. Click Order List button. Now we can connect to any existing order. Connect to the order that was created by the first user. Using SignalR, users can notify each other about any changes in the order. For that, users have to be members of the same group. We can do it by selecting Add to Group checkbox, and we will use current order ID as a group name. Select this checkbox for the both users. This action by itself doesn't guarantee that users within the same group will be notified about any changes in the order, because on the server side, user still can use client.caller property, which will notify only caller about any changes in the order. I have implemented the logic that any user after connection to a group of the server side automatically switches to a client.group method for the notification of all users within the same group. Now any changes that user will do in the order will be immediately displayed in a browser of all other users within the same group. For example, add new items. Send order. New items are displayed in both users' browsers. Remove items. Send order. The order is updated in the browsers of all other users within the same group, and any user can override the order. Hub calls client-side code by sending messages that contain the name and parameters of the client-side method. Objects sent as method parameters are deserialized using the configured protocol. The clients try to match the name to a method in a client-side code. When the client finds a match, the deserialized parameter data. Let's start a new project on the server side. Select the project template ASP.NET Core Web API. Name of the project. Framework.NET 8.0. Keep default options. Create. To communicate with the database, I will use Entity Framework. To use Entity Framework, we have to install several packages. Microsoft Entity Framework Core, Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQL Server, Microsoft Entity Framework Tools. It is tools for NuGet Package Manager console in Visual Studio. In particular, we will use migration tool to create SQL database based on the model and DB context classes. Check installed packages. Packages are installed. We will create order and laptop application. To create a database in SQL Server, we will create model classes and DB context class. Create models under models folder. We created order, laptop, laptop order list. We created 3 entities. Each row in order and laptop entities has multiple rows in laptop order list entity, which is called one-to-many relationship. To set up these relations, we have to use primary key and foreign key. We have to use key attribute to indicate the primary keys. Primary key cannot be null, so it doesn't require additional required attribute. To set up one-to-many relationship between laptop order entities and laptop order list entity, we have to use collection property. The collection property it is a list of laptop order list type. In laptop and order entities implements one-to-many relationship between laptop order entities and laptop order list entity. Next, create dbContext class. dbContext class is an integral part of the entity framework. An instance of dbContext represents the session with the database which can be used to query and save instances of your entities to a database. The dbset types allows Entity Framework Core to query and save instances of the specified entity to the database. Link queries against dbset will be translated into queries against the database. EF Core API will create the orders, laptops, and laptop orders table in the underlying SQL Server database, where each property of these classes will be a column in the corresponding table. To use dbContext in our application, we need to create a class that derives from dbContext. Now we have to set up database connection. In appsettings.json file, define connection string. Data source Alexander, it is the name of MySQL server. Initial catalog, it is a database name, electronics. The integrated security property instructs the SQL client to connect to SQL server using Windows authentication through the Security Support Provider interface, SSPI. And I have to put your attention that we have to include another parameter, trust server certificate equal true, to avoid an error which is called the certificate chain was issued by authority that is not trusted. Without this parameter, we will unable to finish this command successfully. So this parameter is important. Register dbContext class to use dependency injection container for our dbContext class. Open program.cs. Add these lines. Get connection string from appcontext.json file and register electronics context class. After registration our dbContext class electronics context with .NET Core dependency injection container, it will give us an instance of dbContext where we will need it. Migration is the way to keep the database schema in sync with EF Core module by preserving data. Entity Framework Core will map an entity to a table with the same name as its corresponding dbset property. In Package Manager console, execute add migration command. We have received an error, unable to create dbContext of type electronics context. The exception, the entity type laptop order list, requires a primary key to be defined. The primary key in the laptop order list entity should be the combination of order ID and laptop ID. To create the primary key, we have to add dbContext method on model creating and use hasKey method of model builder to denote the property that uniquely identifies an entity laptop order list and which will be mapped to the primary key field in a database. Repeat migration command. The folder migration is created. In this folder, initial migration will be used to create initial migration schema. To create database, we have to execute the second command, update database. Check SQL Server. Database and tables are created. Laptops table will contain price list for the laptops. Orders table will contain information about orders. Laptop orders table will contain order list. Let's fill laptops table. The table contains laptop ID, laptop name, price, and image file name. In the project, remove the files related to the default weather forecast API and whole controllers folder because we will use SignalR instead of controllers. Start application to check that there are no errors. It works. As I mentioned already, SignalR uses hubs to communicate between clients and servers. The hub is high-level pipeline that allows a client and server to call methods on each other. We have to create SignalR hub on the server side and configure SignalR endpoints so that clients can connect to our SignalR hub. Create order hub under the order hub folder. Our class inherits hub class of Microsoft ASP NetCore SignalR library. Now we have to declare the method to create a laptop price list. We will use dependency injection to inject our dbContext class electronics context into the class constructor. Context object is mapped to our database electronics on a SQL server. We created a synchronous task getLaptopList, which accepts the client request and returns laptop price list to the client's function receiveLaptopList as the content of laptops table of SQL Server database. In the program.cs, we have to set up SignalR for our application. Add SignalR service. Add cross-origin resource sharing CORS policy to accept the request from our client application. Here we added a policy with the name policy1 that allows the request from localhost port 4200, which will be the URL of our Angular client application. Add another line to use this policy. We have to provide endpoint for the SignalR hub on the server side. addMapHub is a method used to configure a specific endpoint for SignalR hub, essentially defining the URL path order hub, where clients can connect to interact with that particular hub on the server. It essentially maps our hub class order hub to a specific route on the web application, allowing clients to send and receive real-time messages through that designed endpoint. Now we have to create our Angular application to test our first method in the hub class. Under the folder projects _ create new Angular project, Angular SignalR. Check Angular version. Angular version is 19. Open Visual Studio Code. Check that the application works. It works. Install SignalR package. Create new component. Import component to app component. And remove router outlet. Add component selector to app component HTML. Create folder images under Assets folder and put laptop's images. Add Services folder and create SignalR service with a standard code for the connection. Here the hub connection builder using the route indicated in the endpoint for the SignalR order hub. Asynchronous connect method. Add asynchronous getLaptopList method where we invoke getLaptopList method on the server side order hub object. Provide error message to the user in a case of any exception. Order hub will return the laptop price list to the client method receive laptop list. In Angular project, add interface for the price list to the data file under the data folder. Implement the code in laptop orders component. In laptop orders component, we implemented connect SignalR method, where after connection with order hub object, we call getLaptopList method using SignalR service and created receive laptop list method to receive the laptop price list. In laptop orders component HTML file, we use for loop to display the result. Check application. Start server-side application. Copy port number and put it into the connection URL in Angular application. Start client-side application. We have received the laptop price list from the server side. Now we make a request to the server side on the ng-on-init event. Therefore, if the server is offline, we will not get the result, and when the server starts, we will have to reload our client application to get the laptop price list. Let's implement refresh laptop list button to get the laptop price list when the server starts. Implement isConnected function to check connection with the server. Add button with disabled property to disable the button when the server is online. Call connect SignalR on the button click. Start client application. We receive error messages because the server is offline. Start server-side application. Click Refresh Laptop List button. The price list of laptops appeared and the button changed the status to disabled because the server is online. All other methods are pretty straightforward. Every time we will create methods in SignalR service to invoke the asynchronous server-side methods on the SignalR hub, order hub. Order hub's methods will communicate with SQL Server database to get the results and will call client-side methods to send the results. Add code to create order and send it to the server. In a client application, we have to add button to create order ID, Create HTML elements to select laptops from the price list and indicate quantities. Create Send Order button to send order to the server side. Create a placeholder for the result table that we will dynamically create. Add code to the laptop orders component. Add laptop view and order interfaces to data.ts file. Update the code. Initialize control method sets the initial state of HTML controls, selection, and quantity for all laptops. No items are selected and all quantities equal to 0. When we press the button Create a new order, method Create Order, we call Initialize Controls method. When we receive order from the server side, method Receive Order, we call Initialize Controls method and then set values of HTML controls in accordance with their values in the order. Add Remove Laptop is used to update laptop order object. In the methods Create Order and Send Order, the method Check Connection is used to establish connection with the server if the connection state is disconnected. Order table method is used to dynamically determine the field names of the order and dynamically create the table containing order's details. Update SignalR service. Add methods Create Order and Send Order. Every time when user sends updated order, previous order is deleted from the database and new order is inserted. This logic simplifies the case when we will implement the groups and will allow several users from the same group change the same order simultaneously. Add a laptop order view class to the models folder to represent one element of the laptop order view list object that Hubs sends to the user. Add methods to the order hub class. Methods Create Order, Delete Order, Send Order, and private method Get Laptop Order View List. Test application. Create order. Send order. The order is created. Check SQL Server. The order is inserted in the database. Update order. The order is updated. User can create and change the orders. Let's add order list and groups. Update SignalR service. We added Add to Group checkbox, which adds users' connections to the group with the name of current user ID, and order list that we can use to join to any of existing orders. When user checks Add to Group, his connection is added to the group with the name of order ID. Since that when any user from this group changes the order, all users within this group receive updated order. When user deselects all laptops, we have to remove order table in the bottom of the page. Certainly we can remove the table immediately and then send a request to the server to delete the whole order. But it is incorrect approach, because in the case of error on the server side, the order may not be deleted. That is why to delete order table on the client side, we have to receive the confirmation from the server that the order has been deleted successfully, and laptop view list is empty. Update order hub class on the server side. Test application. Click Order List button and connect to any order. To simulate the request from another user, let's open our client application in a different browser, for example in Firefox. Connect to the same order. Check Add to Group checkbox for both users. Now, using SignalR, users can notify each other about any changes in this order. Add items. Send order. Order is updated in both browsers. Remove items. Send order. Order is updated in both browsers. Open SQL Server. This is our order. Uncheck all items and send order. Order is removed from the database and from users' web pages. Connect to another order. Don't check Add to Group checkbox or check it only for one user. Now, in both cases, any user can change the order, but the notification will not be sent to another user. Add items. Send order. Check SQL Server. We see that the order is changed in the SQL Server database, but another user didn't get a notification. Let's remove some items. Check SQL Server. When any of users clicks Send Order button, the order is recreated in a database in accordance with selected items in the user's web page. But another user does not get a notification because users are not in the same group. That's all what I wanted to show you in this video. If you are enjoying this content and would like to see more and support my channel, please feel free to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, have a good day, and bye.